Look, in Nebraska, you got a slogan here. Nebraska, it's not for everyone. Well, it sure ain't for Donald Trump, I'll tell you that.
Another speech, another viral video featuring Tim Walz. On this day in Omaha, the Democratic vice presidential nominee hammered Donald Trump.
This guy is the opposite of everything here. Every opportunity he has, he weakens our country to strengthen his own hand. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division amongst us. And that's not even counting the time he was president.
The remarks generated millions of views. Walz then stopped at a Runza shop, turning the local delicacy into a trending item nationwide.
If you don't know, the iconic Nebraska restaurant is the Runza. Don't call it anything else except a Runza. The bread consistency, all of it really matters.
Later, Doritos started trending thanks to this.
You see corn nuts over there,
Isn't this it?
Oh, yeah, that's
the big. There you go. That's funny.
By all accounts, Tim Walz is a political and social media sensation.
Follow along, get involved.
Just weeks after being selected as Kamala Harris's running mate, Walz's popularity continues to grow. And Walz is now transcending politics.
This is pretty sacred ground. Folks in Minnesota know about this place.
In Pennsylvania, he and Harris spoke to the Aliquippa High School football team, one of the best in the state. The remarks from Walz, a former coach in Minnesota, are going viral in locker rooms across the nation.
But for 20 years, this was the time of year I look forward to most. I was a defensive coordinator at Mankato West High School and coached football and taught school. Public schools are the foundation of our country, and I have to tell you, anybody who tells you that it's just a game, this is more than just a game. This is about building character. It's about doing something bigger than yourself. It's about trusting the person that's standing on each side of you. And on Friday night, you know they'll be there. Politics isn't that much different than this. It's about something bigger than themselves. It's about setting a future goal and trying to reach it. It's about doing it with dignity and hard work. It's about doing it with humility, and when you lose, you walk across the field and you shake hands with the other team and know they played hard too. But we're all in it together to try and make it better. And things like investing in this public school and I can't imagine what this place looks like when it's filled with folks and the lights are on and the leaves are turning and that game's in the fourth quarter and somebody has to make that play. Somebody has to step up, and you look to each side of you and you know, I trust them. Trust them to make that play. Our country's not that different. Our neighbors want to be with you. Our neighbors want to do what's right. And the more we figure out that we're in this thing together and we have more in common than we have separated, we're going to do a heck of a lot better. So I have to tell you, thanks for taking some time. Thanks for giving us the privilege to stand on this field, because you earn the right to be on this field. You earn it with a lot of sweat. You earn it with a lot of time in the weight room. You earn it with the folks who came before you and know that they care how you conduct yourselves on this. And we feel the same way. We have a responsibility to the American public to conduct ourselves with dignity, conduct ourselves with a vision, and to conduct ourselves on all of this. When football's done right, it is just fun as heck to play the game.
And thanks in part to Tim Walz, the game of politics is awfully fun these days for Democrats. Polls show Kamala Harris now leads Donald Trump nationally and in a majority of the crucial battleground states. And in the first major poll of the vice presidential candidates, Washington Post headline, Americans' first impressions are positive for Walz, negative for Vance. Quote, a Washington Post ABC News Ipsos poll finds 32% of Americans have a favorable impression of Vance and 42% find him unfavorable, a net favorability rating of minus 10 points. For Walz, 39% are favorable and 30% are unfavorable, giving him a net positive rating of 9 points. Vance's net favorability among Republicans is plus 55, and Walz's is an even higher plus 72 among Democrats. But Vance's favorability may fall within his party after an attack he delivered over the weekend against Harris.
Giving Kamala Harris control over inflation policy, Shannon, it's like giving Jeffrey Epstein control over human trafficking policy. The American people are much smarter than that.
The analogy, though, reignited attention to Donald Trump's connections with Jeffrey Epstein. In July, previously secret grand jury materials were released, underscoring that through the years, Trump and Epstein spent a lot of time together.
These files were released, and like Donald Trump's sort of all over this, right? There are pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein. He's taken multiple plane flights with Epstein with young girls on board.
So J.D. Vance's reference to Jeffrey Epstein doesn't exactly help Donald Trump. Trump himself made several blunders over the weekend in a speech in Pennsylvania. At one point, Trump forgot where he was.
and the tent is set up. They have hundreds of them, and they wait. And then I walk in, speak for 15 minutes, and leave. I don't know, somehow. Would that be okay, North Carolina? I don't think so, right? They want me to speak all day.
At another point in the Pennsylvania speech, Donald Trump got tariffs wrong.
A tariff is a tax on a foreign country. That's the way it is, whether you like it or not. A lot of people like to say, oh, it's a tax on us. No, no, no. It's a tax on a foreign country. It's a tax on a country that's ripping us off and stealing our jobs. And it's a tax that doesn't affect our country.
Actually, a tariff does affect our country. As readers noted in a context note on X, they thought people might want to know, tariffs are almost always paid by those importing the goods. If they are a retailer, they will be passed on to the ultimate consumer. This is basic economics, and given Trump's business background, it is stunning to hear something so wrong from Trump on that. Does Donald Trump have dementia? Is he losing his mind? Well, according to Fox News, Trump has an even larger problem. A majority of voters just do not like him.
It's all about one thing. It's about that Donald Trump, no matter how enthusiastic his supporters are, nonetheless is not a majority candidate. He has a very hard, solid base of support, but it never gets above about 40 to 45%, maybe a little more at best.
And that means Trump's favorability or likability is underwater. Kamala Harris is above water with more favorable impressions of her than unfavorable, and Tim Walz is even stronger on likability and favorability. His strong start in this campaign, plus his background, gives Democrats a chance with rural voters. Moderate Republicans and centrists appear to like Walz's Midwestern earnestness and sensibility. So, at the rally in Nebraska, the state where Walz grew up, the vice presidential candidate specifically courted old-school Republicans. Walz noted Trump's isolationism and the Trump threats to abandon NATO alliance countries.
Many of you can probably remember when Republicans talked about freedom, they meant it. They would have never turned their back on our allies. The traditional Republican Party before Donald Trump contributed much to this state and this great nation. But he's not that.
Local media in Nebraska said the attention Tim Walz generated there was significant. And it's been that way with Walz at nearly every stop, speech, and photo op. Tim Walz's charisma and authenticity keep shining through, and it's making waves, especially on social media. To be clear, vice presidential candidates have traditionally not had much of an impact on the ultimate outcome in a presidential race, but Tim Walz has clearly given Democrats a boost, and Donald Trump's campaign is floundering, unsure how to respond, and unable to stop the Harris-Walz momentum. By the way, MAGA world is imploding over another resurfaced J.D. Vance video.
There's just these basic cadences of life that I think are really powerful and really, really valuable when you have kids in your life. And the fact that so many people, especially in America's leadership class, just don't have that in their lives, I worry that it makes people more sociopathic and ultimately our whole country a little bit less less mentally stable. And of course, you talk about going on Twitter. Final point I'll make is you go on Twitter, and almost always the people who are most deranged and most psychotic are people who don't have kids at home.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Tracy81258, who wrote, "Republicans just keep getting creepier and weirder." I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about Tim Walz hammering Donald Trump and going viral beyond politics. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.